we interrupt our regularly scheduled programming previewing the Georgia Southern Eagles with the breaking-ish news of ULM's AD John Hartwell resigning. And does that mean ULM dropping down to the FCS level? It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. We will get to the Georgia Southern Eagles preview. We got the whole Clay Helton, JC French. We got it all still coming up. But breaking news on a Monday, John Hartwell, the ULM AD, has resigned. The initial reaction was he's heading off to Troy. He is a Mobile, Alabama native. Troy has a job opening. He's headed there. He still may be heading there. That's not why he resigned. All right. He did resign due to, as being reported by Craig Stevenson at AL.com, budgetary cuts, and not small budgetary cuts. ULM has a budget, athletic budget, of just under, we'll round up, $21 million. That's not a lot of money. They want to cut it, I was told, about $5 million. Shane Metlin, covering JMU, he was told $6 to $9 million. That's FCS to Division II level. All right. That is not seriously competing in the Sun Belt. And that is why John Hartwell decided to shut it down. I cannot run a program on a shoestring budget. All right. And for those who don't know John, he's an interesting cat. You will not find an AD. These guys were all very professional. You won't find two more professional ADs, like Dr. Brian Maggard, very professional. Dr. Joel Erdman, very professional. All right. That's why when you find Dr. Brian Maggard, jumping for joy on the sideline, right, or pacing, it's not him. It's uncharacteristic for him, although it is funny when he falls on his face when they win football games. John Hartwell is in your face, enthusiastic. He was about to get, for those who don't know, the Auburn AD job when at the last minute, John Cohen from Mississippi State said, let me get that job. And so Auburn went with the SEC guy. He came on the radio and was legit lobbying for the job. You just don't usually hear that. All right. And I know that because it was my radio station that he was doing it on back in Mobile, WNSP. He's a very nice guy. He's a very affable guy. And he was the perfect guy for ULM. All right. Had it going in the right direction. That's why Bryant Vincent is there. All right. Had enthusiasm for the football program for the first time in a long time. And that's why Bryant Vincent came back. And wouldn't you know it, for the first time in a long time, you had enrollment going up for the first time in a long time at ULM. And then they just cut his knees out from under. And so now, ironically, and I think I'm using that word correctly in this case. All right. So remember going back when this whole La Tech thing was going on, and I don't necessarily want to play the whole video, but this was, remember, going on when La Tech was joining and ULM was trying to get La Tech in. This was what I reported at the time. What could be termed as unintended consequences. Some are even suggesting that Monroe go down to the FCS level if they can't afford to be the FBS level without Louisiana Tech being in the conference. All right, so that was at the time I put that out there. All right, then that went viral, not because of me, but because of this tweet. College Football Reddit put it out there. ULM is considering dropping down to the FCS level. Again, that video was a grand total of, I think, 47 seconds. And they misconstrued what I was saying because earlier, a couple weeks beforehand, John Hartwell was saying, no, we're not going to FCS level. This was other people in the Sun Belt suggesting that. All right. So turns out, are they? Because you can't compete in the Sun Belt at a $15 million level. All right. I mean, no one's thinking that the Sun Belt is competing with the SEC. But when college coaches, and some are, or close to it anyways, college football coaches are making almost the entire athletic budget of a ULM. Come on. I mean, if you are cutting, if Shane Metlin's numbers are right, and you're cutting $9 million from a $21 million deal, Dabo Swinney's not too far from that. Kirby Smart's not too far from that. That's what their paycheck is, what the whole ULM athletic budget is. You can't compete with it. And so they said, and I will quote the tweet. I'll say what I said. And these things are going viral. I quoted what Craig Stevenson said. Hartwell's resignation at ULM after just 18 months on the job was over budgetary concerns, not connected to the opening at Troy, a source said. So I said, ULM's new president, first thing is to cut the athletic budget, so much so the AD resigned. Will ULM be dropping to FCS after all? And so then Pete Thamel got a quote from ULM, and then I think I quote tweeted that. ULM has announced that AD John Hartwell has resigned. There is a plan in place, and we will be making that plan known as soon as the logistics are finalized. My commitment to ULM and the Sun Belt Conference is unwavering, per ULM president Dr. Carrie L. Castile. Okay. And then I quote tweeted, once we know the plan, we'll tell you the plan. All right. Tongue in cheek. So we'll see. This very much has, like, we'll tell you in 2 weeks, kind of has that feel to it. So we shall see where this goes. Again, these two things are separate. I still would not be surprised to see John Hartwell at Troy, but that's not why he left. And it is really disappointing that for the first time in a long time, ULM got off the mat, and now it feels like they're back on the mat. So we shall see what happens here in the next couple of weeks. Meanwhile, it is time to preview the Georgia Southern Eagles and back to our regularly scheduled program. Coach is heading into his fourth year, and the quarterback is back for his second year. Is it time for the Georgia Southern Eagles to contend in the Sun Belt East? It's Locked On Sun Belt.
You are Locked On Sun Belt, your daily podcast on the Sun Belt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sun Belt, your teams every day. We continue with our Sun Belt Media Days recap, as the case may be. It is time for the Georgia Southern Eagles. We talk with head coach Clay Helton, JC French quarterback, and Davion Rhodes from the defensive side of things. Head coach Clay Helton heading into his 31st season, and he admits he's got a lot of guys coming back with experience. Certainly most noteworthy is going to be JC French, his quarterback, and he's expecting big things from him. Also, they start out the season on a West Coast road trip. They're going to Fresno State, and maybe most impressively going to USC, Clay Helton's old stomping grounds. So there's a lot to talk about with this team, how they can get a couple of stops on defense. They're coming in with a chip on their shoulder, and they are highly regarded coming in to the 2025 season. They were picked second in the Sun Belt East. He is Clay Helton. They are JC French and Davion Rhodes, and they are Locked On Sun Belt. Dave Schultz back on Sun Belt Media Days 2025. We're doing the East today, and we are back with one of our favorites. He is Coach Clay Helton with Georgia Southern. He's always been gracious with his time coming on the podcast. What are we looking forward to? Is this year number 4 already for you? Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
You blink your eyes, and it's
it really does.
It goes by fast when you're a football coach. You're 31 for me in this profession, and it's crazy to think that I've been in it 3 decades. But, yeah, excited to get going again. Really am excited about this football team, especially the experience that we have in it. A lot of third, fourth, fifth year kids that know our systems, know our standards, have grown up with us, and it's been kind of a 3-year project of being able to build this football team and be able to have that consistency of not only players, but also coaches, returning the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinators, being in systems for multiple years. I think that's really important. And then having a team that they have a chip on their shoulder, finishing one play away from playing in the championship game last year. We got a pit in our stomach right now. And I've always thought a hungry team plays better. So looking forward to this year.
And for the first time since you've been at Georgia Southern, you got the same quarterback coming back, right? And I'm a big believer in this day and age of the portal. Same coach, same quarterback, and you got a pretty good one, right? Maybe didn't end on a high note. And I look back, you still just throws 4 interceptions, you still just lost by 5 points, right? You take one interception away, you may actually win the bowl game. And so tell us about JC French. And thank goodness you brought him here, because no one wanted to bring their quarterbacks.
Well, I tell you what, to have JC and see his sense of urgency. You talked about that last game, and I'll never forget as long as I live. I'm sitting in that tunnel right after the game, and he walks right up to me and says, "Coach, that'll never happen again with you and me ever." And to have that type of leadership and that type of sense of urgency and chip on your shoulder from the next day to where he is at now, he's in the best shape of his life. He's lost about 8% body fat. He's really led
8% body fat.
Yeah, I mean, it just
has put that on in New Orleans in 2 days.
He's gone from 20 down to 12, and he's leading our football team. You can see the confidence that he has. He goes out and produces another postseason team. He gets us to 8 wins, second place in the East. His expectations are to go lead us to a championship, and he's done everything possible to make that happen in the offseason.
Tough start. I mean, and my understanding is, you guys are going to spend a week out in California, Fresno State, and then a little homecoming. And, the season may start out poorly because it's not too hard, 2 very hard football games at Fresno State and at USC. The USC game may be a little, obviously got to be a little bit fun for you to go back home a little bit.
Yeah, what a great opportunity. Our school has never been to California. We have never played a California team, so to be able to start off with Fresno State, obviously new staff, head coach has had a ton of success. And that is a proud program, just like ours has a history and tradition. I remember the Pat Hill teams, and
that's what I remember. Yeah.
And so, to open up there and then go to USC, what an awesome opportunity for our kids. I think that's what I'm most excited about. I've got kids that haven't even been on a plane before in their life, and we're going to go out to California, play at Fresno State, stay at the Dallas Cowboys training facility, and have the opportunity.
Isn't that like on the ocean?
Yeah, and have the opportunity to train down there for a week, and then go to the Coliseum. What an unbelievable place of history. Whether it's World Series, Super Bowls, Olympics, to be able to play in that venue against a great team like USC, that's a great opportunity for us. And having those style of games only helps you for the conference, because our conference is dang tough. So having tough games early really prepares you for the conference.
What's that going to be like leading Georgia Southern out into the Coliseum, knowing you've led USC out into the Coliseum?
It's special. Anytime was at a place for 12 years, there's so many relationships in the community. USC was extremely good to me and my family. It changed my life, and the relationships that I built with players and alumni and just the community. It's special. And to go back there and be able to compete against one of the best teams in the country, one of the best teams in the history of college football, it's a rare opportunity, and looking forward to it.
All right, we're talking with Clay Helton, the head coach of the Georgia Southern Eagles. All right, what are the strengths outside of JC French? You said you got a lot of veterans. You guys are picked. Second, I may pick you first because, again, quarterback, same coach. Where are the strengths besides JC on this football team?
It's been a 3-year project, David, of building this football team from the big men to the outside. People have looked at us over the last 3 years and they go, "Oh my gosh, they can throw it all around the park," and they see the skilled players that we've had. But really, I'm most proud of the big men, the offensive and defensive line, being able to have all five guys back on the offensive line. All played, and to be able to protect JC. All of them have played college football. A lot of them have played 3-4 years. So it's a group that not only offensive line but defensive line, I thought really grew up last year, and to be able to keep those guys, a Latrell Bullard, to be able to keep the edge players like we have, I've always thought big men win championships, and we've got our best group of big men since we've been there.
All right, so you said you've been doing this 31 years. it just changes on a daily basis, right? I mean, Bob Chesney's talking about I'll be better at rev share next year, but it's going to change by the time he figures out what it is this year. How do you keep up with it? As you know, what it was when you started is something different than it was 5 years ago than it was today.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned over 3 decades is you have to be willing to adapt, and
on a daily basis.
They don't pay us to make excuses. They pay us to find the answers. And so, you've seen whether it's rule changes, whether it is calendar changes, whether it is the ability to this new land portal systems, rev share, coaches adapt, and that's what we do. And being able to find the answers to put the best team together, to be able to mentor kids and to be able to, not only help them with their college experience, but beyond. And that continues, that continues for us. So, the X's and O's don't change, but the landscape may change and we change with it. And that's what good coaches do.
I don't have an issue with the NIL. I just have an issue with the portal. Like just one time. And then you have to maybe sit out. That'd be it, because it's tough. I don't think it benefits the kids, and it certainly doesn't benefit the coaches. But if you get one time, and maybe if the coach leaves, then you can do it. But otherwise, if you're just leaving from school to school to school, I don't think that helps anybody. Yeah, that's my thing. Money, go ahead and make the money.
Well, I think they're going to find a happy medium. I really do. I hope they go down to one that fits our calendar the best for not only the academic piece.
When would it fit the calendar?
I think I've heard a lot of different styles of systems of being able to do. I think that we're in the entertainment business, to be honest with you, and one of the most valuable things that we have is our postseason play. So I would make sure that our postseason value is at its highest to protect those bowl games, to protect the playoffs. So whatever that date may be, which will be solved by a lot smarter men than me, I think that's the number one thing, is to be able to protect our postseason play, where everybody's a part of that, and then whether it's one, whether it's two. I hope it goes down to one. I really do. I think that's the best thing. But that may be a little bit of time down the road.
Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue our conversation with the head coach of the Georgia Southern Eagles, Clay Helton. We'll talk about how to get a few more stops on defense. We'll do that right after I tell you about Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let's continue our conversation with the head coach of the Georgia Southern Eagle, Clay Helton, talking about getting an improved defense and so close to competing for the Sunbelt Championship last year and maybe coming away with some big wins, but also some very tough losses at the end of last season. All right, talking with Clay Helton, Georgia Southern head coach. Talk about the defense. Got to come up with some big stops somewhere along the way.
Yeah, anytime you lose the defensive MVP in Marquez Watson Trent, you're a little bit worried. But all of a sudden, we had the ability to garner 2 linebackers, and Brendan Harrington and Brandon Tyson, one coming from Elon, one coming from App State, that have really played a lot of college football, have produced at a very high level. And so I like that. I talked about the defensive line, but I like our linebacker room. It's deep. Davon Hicks returns. CJ Allen's a great young linebacker that's coming up. We have some really good depth in that room. Probably our biggest area of growth was the secondary, and I thought we addressed that. Really did. We had 2 great edge players, 2 great corners in Tracy Hill and Chance Gamble, but we really helped ourselves in the back end in the safety position. I think Aiden Jackson's going to come out and have one of those All-American years. I really do. And so we helped ourselves in the back end by acquiring the safeties we did. Coach Bailey did a wonderful job.
And tell us about Davian Rhodes.
Yeah, Davian has been one of those guys that's been with me for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
So to be able to have a leader in that locker room, and there's others around, and I think that's why I'm most excited about this team, because I look around and it's all third, fourth, fifth-year guys, and here's a redshirt senior fifth-year player that has just really came into his own last year and produced huge plays last year. Really ended the game at James Madison last year with a big sack, created a huge turnover in the Coastal Carolina game on the road, which was a game that we needed. He does the things that we need in the right time, and I'm glad to have his leadership and his playmaking ability.
I'm talking to Clay Helton, head coach of Georgia Southern Eagles, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, so you start off with a couple of tough road games, Fresno State, USC, and then there's just no easy games in the Sun Belt, right? I mean, the new coach at App State, right, hasn't had a long career in college, right? We don't know who his quarterback is. He's picked third, right? The dynamic quarterback at ODU with the longest standing coach in the Sun Belt, Ricky Ronnie, he's picked fifth. So there's just no easy games in the Sun Belt, especially in the East.
Yeah, I think, and I've talked to our team, and we'll continue to talk to them. I think the story of our season will be how we react on the road this year. Last year we had Marshall, JMU, and App State at home in Paulson, which is a great place to play. Right. But now we have those road games. Plus, you go to Arkansas State and Jonesboro. Those are 4 hard road conference games that are hard places to play in their own right. I think that's going to be, whether it's the California trip, whether it's those 4 away conference games, that's going to dictate our season. We have a great pride about us about how we play at Paulson Stadium. We've had a lot of success, and one of the top 5 all-time colleges of success rate of win percentage at our place. But I really think this year will be dictated. Those conference games that are on the road this year are going to be really important.
I mean, you had a heck of a season last year. You got to see Ashton Gentry up close, probably still having nightmares about that ball game. All right.
No question.
You had an amazing comeback against Marshall. All right. You had a little bit of help from Marshall, but you still had the comeback. All right. And then you're getting your butt kicked by South Alabama, and you won that football game. And then you end up losing to Troy in that ball game. And that was kind of the one, you win that ball game, you're sort of headed towards the division title.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, and you one play away from winning, playing for the championship. So it was this close to being, like you said, you finished second, that close to finishing first.
Yeah, and that's that chip on the shoulder that we have. Right. A very hungry football team. We knew we needed to have Marshall went on a run, and we knew we needed to have a great November. And we went 3-1. We lost the Troy game at home, which that's the difference in playing for a championship game and not playing for a championship, and we know that, and we own it. And so those are the things that we can't let happen. You can't get comfortable in this league ever. Every game you got to bring your A game, or you're going to get your butt beat in this league. It's just too competitive. When you're talking about a league that's had 27 bowl teams in the last, they're averaging 9 a year. That's high. That's the highest in all group of 6 for any conference. So top to bottom, this league is so strong. And so you have to be able to bring your A game, and you're going to have to win 7 or 8 games in this league to be able to go play for that championship game. That's just facts.
Now, I tell people all the time, I know I'm hosting mostly a football podcast here, but I'm much more of a baseball guy, so I can see things on a baseball field that maybe others can't. And I could be watching film with you, and you're telling me I'm watching the wrong thing. But I still think about the Kyle Van Treese, QB draw, and I could still see the play coming. As soon as the running back goes in motion and the middle linebacker's leaving it. I obviously Nebraska didn't see it coming, but I could see he's going to run. It wasn't like a 2-yard QB draw, wasn't it? Like 7, 8, maybe longer.
Yeah. It's a special play, and it was an important play for us, especially in our first year. We had to create anytime that you're changing systems offensively that dramatically from what Georgia Southern was to what we do now. It is, you needed that play, and you needed to show recruits belief that not only can you win big games, but this offense can be ultra powerful. And Kyle was a huge part of that.
Right.
We're
like the Red Sea just parted.
Yeah. We're not here today where we're at if it's not for Kyle Van Trees and that football team and what they did to be able to have a Nebraska win that year, a top 25 win against JMU, to beat our arch rivals in App State at home in double overtime that year. It really created a spark for us in year one that really, you look at today, all those kids that we recruited off that year are now the leaders of this football
I'm glad
team.
you brought up that App State game because you've been coaching this a long time. And I remember watching you after that game, and I just saw, it's not a national championship.
Yeah.
It's not a Rose Bowl, but I just saw pure, unadulterated joy on your face. Like, I just won a big football game.
Yeah.
And I know it's not the biggest football game in the world, but I just saw you were so thrilled at winning that game.
Yeah.
First of all, it was a great college football game.
Oh, it was great. It was a great game. Both teams were playing to go to the postseason. And, I didn't realize until you actually are there how important that game is to both fan bases.
That's right.
And you could feel it all week. Yeah. And I'd had so much.
You had a full head of hair before that game.
I'd had so much fun with that football team. Going from 3 wins, all of a sudden you got the year before, and now you got a chance to be able to play in the postseason in year one. And they had worked so hard for it, and to be able to win in that fashion and take them in year one to the postseason, that was an extra bonus for us. So I acted like a 6th grader there for about.
Well, I love that when it just hits you like, again, veteran, he's been there, he's done that, and all of a sudden you see him like he's won his first football game ever. It was awesome. He's Clay Helton, head coach of the Georgia Southern Eagles. Always gracious with his time. We'll hope to catch up with him during the season. The one question I don't have to ask, who's your starting quarterback? Because we know it. All right. Always appreciate your time, Coach. Best of luck this season. Thanks for hopping on the podcast.
David, thank you so much, buddy.
All right, let's take one more time out. We'll come back. We'll talk to the Georgia Southern players, quarterback J.C. French IV, and defensive lineman Davian Rhodes. We'll do that right after I tell you about 5 Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the golf course or off of it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscriptions orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order Transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let's continue our conversation with the guys from Georgia Southern. Quarterback J.C. French, IV, how he can take his game to the next level, and defensive lineman Davian Rhodes anchoring that defensive line and that front, getting just a couple of more stops for that explosive Georgia Southern offense to get those big wins down the stretch. Dave Schultz back on Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day, day 2 of Sunbelt Media Days. We're here with the guys from Georgia Southern. We got J.C. French, IV, and Davian Rhodes. I got to ask you, JC, I work for a company that is very proud of their family history. You are the IV. So you are named after your great-grandfather. I don't really know the history of my family, certainly on one side. On the other side, to be honest with you, he was a little shady. What do you know about your great-grandfather? Because I think that's pretty cool. You are J.C. French, IV.
Yeah, so I met him when I was really young.
I think that's impressive that you even know him or you met him when you were very young.
I think it's a pretty cool deal. I met him when I was young, got some pictures and all that to remember. Don't know a whole lot, but I do know that he was like the foundation of this family and kind of set the way for my grandfather and my dad.
What did he do? Is there a family business or?
Well, he worked on the farm. So
no kidding, he was a farmer.
So he worked on the farm. So I wouldn't say there's a family business starting with him, but then my grandfather started a business that my dad took over.
What was that?
They do they run a door manufacturing business. It's called Asta America. It's So kind of my dad is he oversees it. My grandpa's retired now, obviously. So yeah, that's kind of
All right. Well,
goes.
that's outstanding. So your great grandfather worked on a farm. It wasn't his farm.
Right.
All right. Well, all right. So there you go. All right. Just always interested in that thing.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to start with the bad ending of last year.
Mhm.
Although I'm a hashtag always a bright side kind of guy.
Right.
You threw 4 interceptions. You lost by 5. All right. You take away 1 interception, you probably win the game.
Mhm.
And your coach, Clay Helton, said, you finished the game, you walked into the tunnel, and you said, Coach, that's never happening again. All right. Tell us what your thought process was at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's left a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm sure everybody else has kind of got a chip on our shoulder. Just going in the locker room, going in that tunnel, like I felt awful because I know that's not the player I am. I work too hard for that type of stuff to happen, and that's what I told Coach Hill. I was like, I will never let any of that happen again. And this whole offseason, I've set myself up for the most success I can. I've been working constantly with my brothers and all that to get our stuff right for next season to give us the best opportunity.
Well, because the issue in the offense for the last 3 years has been the interception.
Mm-hmm.
Too many for the first 2 years. But then you look what you did, and actually you didn't have that many. The problem was 2 games. I think you had 10 interceptions and 8 were in 2 ball games. And so you correct that. So is that a problem of overcompensating? Like one is leading to the next because you're trying to make up for the last one?
I think it's just me trying to do too much.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I think, just giving the playmakers the ball in space, not trying to do too much, let them do, the dirty work, just give them the ball and they'll make you look good. Because we have those kind of guys on the team, which is exciting. Like they can make you look good even in bad situations.
Now we're talking with JC French and Damian Rhodes, guys from Georgia Southern, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Now, hold on, Damian. We got one more question for JC because he said, as John Madden would say, you guys got the big uglies up front. You got a veteran offensive line, and I know Clay Helton wants to throw it around, but when you got a veteran offensive line, basically, again, we hear what we want to hear. You're just going to turn around and hand it off because when you got a veteran offensive line, that takes the easy part, right?
Absolutely.
Because was it Lombardi who said when you pass the ball, 3 things can happen and 2 are bad. Yeah. So if you just hand it off, that takes away the 2 bad things that can happen. So how much are we going to rely on the running game this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that our offensive line has done an amazing job, and we're returning 4 of the 5 guys, and they've all been rotating in games, so they have game experience, which is very exciting because we don't have to rely on one piece of our game. Like we have everything that comes into one, and I think that's going to make us really dangerous this year. And kind of just leaning on the big boys because they are the most experienced part of our offense, and kind of just whatever gets us going down the field is great because I think we can do both at a very high level.
All right, now we'll go to Damian Rhodes. All right, so Clay Helton spoke very high of you. Red shirt senior.
Yes, sir.
What kept you playing there at Georgia Southern all these years?
Mainly just knowing that, that time will come. Having that mindset of knowing that if you stay down, great things will happen. And I thank Coach Helton for also giving me the opportunity to be able to trust him and be able to take it and be able to use it, to the real world.
Now, he said you guys had some great games last year. All right. Marshall sort of gave it away.
Yep.
All right. Let's be honest with that one. They helped you with that one. You guys won it.
Yep.
They kind of gave it away. South Alabama, you guys were getting your butts kicked. You took that one away.
Yep.
All right. And then you let it slip away. What do you think happened with the Troy ball game? Because they were struggling. They did almost beat Arkansas State, but then they come in to Statesboro, kind of shocked. Well, me, probably shocked you guys. What do you think happened in that Troy ball game? Because that was the one game that stopped you from, playing for a conference championship.
Correct. I feel like mainly I think the mindset wasn't there.
Yeah,
understanding that if you remember that Troy team was like 3 and something.
Yeah.
And, guys didn't have the mindset of dominating.
Right.
And, we hear the saying that play down to the competition. And we actually played down to the competition that game, and it hurt us. And I'm glad that our guys was able to experience that, to know that you can't have no games like that, especially when it's a Troy that's 3 and whatever, or in wherever any team we play and dominate the same like any other team.
Now we're doing the other way. We're going to Fresno State and USC. So the season may get off to a rough start, and people are going to say, what's going on? But we're playing Fresno State and USC. What do you think that experience is going to be like? As Coach said, I got guys never been on a plane, meanwhile seeing the Pacific Ocean.
Yes, that'll be a great experience, not only for just us as players, but us as people as well, because we have an opportunity now in today's world. We can brand ourselves in many different ways, and that Fresno State game, that USC game, like I've been telling the guys up until this point, let's approach that game like it's Georgia State or App State or any other game. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Understand what's at stake, and I have full faith in our guys, and we can go out there, some regular guys, and we can come back some stars.
And you guys know what it's going to be like for Coach Clay Helton to lead you guys out into the Coliseum against USC? Do people understand? And that's what he did for a living. He's going to be leading the other team out there. It's going to mean, whether he says it or not, it's going to mean a little bit of something leading the other team into the Coliseum against the Trojans.
Most definitely, hands down, because one, Coach Helton knows that program inside and out, and he has been here long enough to know our program inside and out. And we're just going to go to war and may the best man win.
He's J.C. French IV. He's Davian Rhodes. They are with the Georgia Southern Eagles, and they are Locked On Sunbelt. Thanks for hopping on the podcast, guys, and best of luck in 2025. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.